What's up, everyone? I just want to take a moment to recognize the listeners who are not in the United States before we start this episode. So, for those of you in the UK, Canada, Australia, Sweden, Netherlands, Norway, Spain, Japan, and South Africa, thank you for listening. Oh, wait a minute. Australia, thank you for listening. I appreciate it 1,000,000,000%. Cue the music. Okay, this is Manny Moonraker, and I'm here with you today for UFO report number 28. 28. And so in this particular podcast episode, we do not have actual UFO news. What we have is a conspiracy, and then something else that will eventually probably turn into another conspiracy, but I'll mention that real quick. It's not a big news article yet. I'm sure it will be in September. But before I get to all of that, because I always got something going on, I got a message from someone that listens on Podbeam. So, full disclosure here. I can't answer messages on Podbeam. I am surprised that they actually forwarded the message to me. And I'll answer that message right now here, recorded on the podcast, because I can't really respond in that platform, and I'll let you guys know why. Unfortunately, podcasters and YouTubers are all creators, and we create content that people listen to, and if you like it, you share it, you listen, you continue listening to the other crap that we come up with. Unfortunately, for many of us, things like commercials and access to those platforms that replay our content, it's kept from creators, and many a times there is a fee for us to even get to interact with those individuals that listen. Podbean, whoever the heck they are. While they forward me the message, I'm not necessarily registered with them. But I guess in a tactic to get me to register with them and pay them a monthly fee to interact with my listeners, if you could believe that, they sent me this message. So, I've said this before, if you hear a commercial, it's not coming from me. If the commercial drives you bananas, I apologize. It is the price that we pay as creators of podcasts, that our host companies or servers or whatever the heck you want to call them, those are things that they do to make money. On top of also charging podcasters money monthly, they also get advertising that they keep the money for themselves. So if you hear a commercial, I didn't do it. If you hear a commercial you don't like, it's not my fault. It's whoever you're listening through that's providing you that information. Now for this individual with the duck or the goose icon, the reason why I censor any cursing that I do is because the actual episode is not being indicated when I upload it as explicit. I do this only for one reason, and that would be iTunes. Apple, for some reason, gets really miffed if you do not mark shows that have any cursing in it as explicit. And so the result of not doing that is that you end up getting booted from Apple, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, or whatever it is called these days. That's why I censor it. And it's actually a lot easier to put the censor blip in it than to have to go back, take the word out, or put something in it. Like you'll see these movies on regular TV that say, Mother Flower instead of Mother, what. So yeah, it's much easier just to put the bleep in it. And, for those of you who are mature enough to know what the word is, it almost doesn't matter that bleep is in there because you can put 2 and 2 together and make 5. So anyway, that's why it's in there. I thank you for taking the time anyway for sending me that message. But if you want to interact with me, and this goes for everyone, the best ways to do it is through social media. through UFOBusterRadio.com or through Spreaker. And that's Spreaker with an R, SPREAKER.com. Now, I do simulcast a podcast to YouTube, so YouTube keeps a version of it. If you contact me to YouTube, I can answer there also. If you contact me through Spreaker, email, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, happy to answer your questions, interact. I get a lot of messages through those avenues, and people will tell you I get engaged, and sometimes I get into horrific battles. So today on episode number 28, what we have for you in this UFO report is all about NASA, folks. NASA. The first little tidbit is an article that was actually recently published regarding, of course, the never-ending conspiracy of the lunar landings. The title for this article is Moon Landing Hoax. Is this new video conclusive proof space race was faked? Exclusive new footage has emerged claiming NASA's attempt to reach the moon, including the famous landings, were all hoaxes. And we all know this has been going around forever. And so now we have another video. This video clip was uploaded on YouTube, and it is suggesting that the Apollo 10 mission, the fourth manned mission to the moon, was also a fake. So the individual who published this claims, of course, that the video footage that they have on here is real, unedited NASA footage. Of course, no one ever discloses where the hell they get this information from, and how in the world did this person get unedited NASA footage is never explained. So for all we know, this could all be a bunch of fake rendered footage that they're trying to use some of their, Final Cut Pro skills on. Now, they're basing all of this on the fact that on this footage, and basically what you see is you see the video that's coming from the porthole, or the little window on the capsule that's looking down to the surface of the moon. There is a reflection of what's behind the glass, not just the camera, but over to the right you see a NASA uniform. You see the flag once in a while. According to this video, the individual claims that the image of this astronaut that's in the reflection never ever shows signs of weightlessness. In fact, they claim that in this little itty bitty image reflection that you see on this glass, that this individual gets up, sits down freely, like if they were basically being affected by gravity. In another part, they also claim that the individual, the so-called astronaut, is seen striding away from the camera and the actual reflection, and that he is shown kind of adjusting his pants. If you've seen these weightlessness videos, it's kind of hard to adjust your pants because there's just no way to pull them down because they're not affected by gravity. So there's no way to stretch them out. But according to them in this video, you actually see the person adjusting their pants and walking around like they're on a summer stroll in the middle of nowhere. So this was published by the Daily Star Online, and according to them, not so long ago, they interviewed the filmmaker Mr Sibrel, who directed the film A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. Sibrel maintains that the landings that NASA transmitted to the world were all CIA hoaxes. And according to Sibrel, he actually confronted Apollo 10 astronaut John Young, saying that his journey to the moon was a hoax, a fake, completely fabricated. They actually showed Sibrel the new footage, and according to him, he says he suspects that the person that analyzed this new footage is absolutely correct because, of course, it's not like he's biased. This guy has no bias whatsoever, but he believes that the footage actually shows the individual that's caught in the reflection is not in space at all and is not experiencing or demonstrating any signs of weightlessness. And then the article goes on to claim that Mr. Sibrel made it clear that he believes that it was a faked historic event in 1969 and that the crew of these Apollo missions were all actors that were instructed by the intelligence agency through earpieces of what they had to do on camera. Hey, listen, that is all well and dandy, whatever. My issue and the focus of this particular podcast is that video. And this is me. I put the link in the description. You guys can check out the article and the video. The video is not that long, so it'll take you a quick glance to figure out that there's just no way that he saw this. I mean, I've looked at this thing. I've enlarged it. I shrunk it. I paused it. I fast forwarded. I do not see anything that this individual claims in the clip that's in the article. Now, granted, I did not try to find this thing on YouTube, but from what I saw in the article, this video clip does not support what they're stating in the article one bit. So, I don't think that this is going to push the conspiracy theory any further other than many people like myself thinking that this particular person faked this video, and unless he can show where he got this from, how did he obtain it, and have someone actually see the original footage so that they can do some kind of forensics on it to validate that this is original NASA footage, this is dead in the water. I'm sure it'll feed a lot of conspiracies that people already have, but it's a no-brainer for me. This is no bueno. Don't believe the hype. But check out the link. Give it a visit if you have the time. Otherwise, I am Manny Moonraker and I approve this message. So you can bank on it. You're not going to see anything other than fake news.
Coming to you from the hills of Texas right here. UFO Buster Radio is now on the air. You can visit Manny and Big O at UFOBusterRadio.com. That's right, this is Bubba Doohickey saying, boys, squeal like a pig. Oink, oink, oink.
So issue number 2 is really short. It's a quick hit because the main event, ding ding ding, the main event is going to happen in September. That's right. This is regarding the Cassini space vehicle, which of course has been traveling throughout the solar system, taking pictures and sending them back to NASA so that they can, doctor it up and hide whatever they need to hide and then put it out to the public. Well, Cassini is coming to an end. Sadly enough, on April 26, Cassini did 22 dives in between Saturn and its rings and took these amazing pictures, which for some reason we didn't really get the bulk of them until recently. But there's a bunch of high resolution pictures that NASA has published from Cassini, and they've made an announcement that between September 14th and 15th, the Cassini spacecraft will make the last 2 passes really close to Saturn, and as part of its final pass, it will be deliberately crashed into Saturn, and they're hoping that they get plenty of data from it as it enters Saturn's atmosphere and eventually disintegrates. I myself, I can't wait for this. I think this is going to be great. I hope that we get to actually see this. They are going to offer certain social media users access to the 2-day event of the Cassini crash and burn after 20 years of space flight to a select few so that they can take part of this momentous occasion. So I guess NASA has no fear of contaminating Saturn, so dumping Cassini into Saturn is a cool idea, which is strange for me because they kind of flipped out with sending the rover over to the so-called possibly liquid water because they might contaminate it, but we can dump this spacecraft into Saturn and not worry about it. Sounds good to me. Why wait till September? Let's get it done now. So anyway, I'm hoping that we get a lot of cool pictures from this. I don't know how long it'll take for us to even see these pictures. It might just be kind of just recently, another 4 months after that. Like maybe they'll give it to us as a Christmas present. We get to see pictures of whatever they want to show us. But it's a heads up. Keep an eye out for it. Don't forget in September, the big crash and burn of the Cassini spacecraft into Saturn. And that's all she wrote, folks. So I want to remind everyone to hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Manny at UFOBusterRadio.com, and of course on Spreaker.com. You can leave messages. You can leave messages on any of the episodes. I will get notifications on those. Lastly, this Sunday will be a live episode at 5 p.m. Central with my special guest, Jeff Aldrich. For those of you who have been listening for the show for some time, Jeff was back on the podcast, back on episode 77. It was also a live episode, and we talked to Jeff about kind of his experiences leading up to him and his interest in ufology. And we're going to have a little bit more of that. We've been talking ever since. We've had some plans which haven't panned out, but we're going to continue to work on them, and we're going to bring you guys up to date on what we're talking about as far as tackling ufology from our own perspective and bringing everyone along for the ride. So that is this Sunday, 5 p.m. Central, live. Be there or be square. If you want to listen to it live, the only place to do, well, actually there's two places you can do it. There is a widget on UFOBusterRadio.com on the right side of the page where you can actually listen to the episode live, or you can just go to Spreaker.com, search for UFO Buster Radio, and you can listen to us live there. The good thing about doing it on Spreaker.com is that you can actually join us live through a chat box, and we can communicate back and forth during the live chat. If you decide you want to take it a little bit further, you want to get froggy, you can call in during the podcast and speak to us live and give us some of your perspective, or you could just say hello. Doesn't matter. It's all good. So this has been UFO Report 28, the NASA conspiracy. I'll check you guys out on Sunday. Peace out. Bye.